Howdy folks, Little John in the brewery, and I'm having a bit of an unusual day, doing some tasters. What I've done is I've actually got a bit of a range here. A couple of these are older beers, a couple of newer ones, but ones I just wanted to just touch on, just for the hell of it. There is some education, hopefully, in here to some degree. So, as I said, 5 beers. Yeah. Sometimes one beer is just not enough. That's pretty much all the time. But anyway, before we get into it, shout out to all the Patreons. Cheers, guys. Thanks for the support. There's a link in the description down below for Patreon. Have a look, check it out if you're interested, see what it's about. There's always lots of bonuses and things coming the way of the Patreons. They help keep things going along. If you've not subscribed to Little John, like this fly is definitely not a subscriber. Yet he decides he wants to hang around. If, like the fly, you'd like hanging around and see what's going on, hit the subscribe button down there in the corner. If you like what Little John's doing, as they say, smash the like button. And the reality is you don't need to smash it, you only got to hit it once. It only works once. So, well, I think if you hit it, it goes on, then it goes off and goes on and goes off. So if you smash it, yay, who knows where you're going to end up. Hit it once. Hit it once if you like what's going on. That's all you need to do. Okay? So, a couple of tasters here. Let me snap a quick photo for Facebook land. Ta-da-da-da. And we'll get on with it. So, what I've got, going from my left to right, your right to left. Go away, I really don't want you here. You're not welcome. Don't know if you're going to get the message. First two here are the Kit Rice Lager, done with the it was a lager kit anyway. But these were done with the rice malt syrup, the jars, and then fermented with S189, one at lager temperature, one at warmer temperature. So I've done taste tests on these previously. These are 2 bottles I held back. This was bottled back on the 16th of July. So these are now August, October, 3 months old. So by my own recommendations, this is about as good as these beers should get as far as the kit goes. So I want to see how they go. Beer here in the middle it's just a Cooper Cerveza that I brewed back in November last year. 50-50 malt dex drop, a bit of citra lemon drop in the dry, and yeah, it was fairly straightforward. 4.4% alcohol, and again, I think it's the last bottle is floating around for pull it. See how it's holding up after a year. Beer number 4 here is the TDH Pale Ale, which was the last brew I did with Kvike, and this was touched on just recently in the 2000 subs video. So I'm interested. This one, it's getting old. It was brewed bottled back on the 3rd of November last year, so it's now 11 months old. So I'm interested to see how that flavour from the Kvike yeast has held up and how it's travelling with some time underneath it. And this fella is the Isolation IPA, which is having it's a little bit overcarbed, and it's from back in April, so it's for the 10, it's 6 months old. So again, should really be past its best, but I just threw it in. I've got a lot of, I was just shuffling beers around. Anyway, and I thought 5 beers sounded like a good number. It was nice and even, yeah. So that's what we went with. So anyway, let's get into it. Number 1, this is the Rice Lager. And I've got to say, look, both of these, the second I popped them, they both smell just like a commercial yeah, Mega Swill beer. Or straight away the aroma come out of the bottle, boom, was that very typical Mega Swill sort of a smell. That that's that staly, malty sort of a nose. Okay, that's drinking considerably better than it did back when I did the earlier tasters on it. Yeah, I think I did 2 tastings by memory. I did one on these 2 on their own, and I think I did a follow-up one when I was doing the actual all-grain rice lager tasting. And both of those were a little bit young. Obviously younger than I would like to be drinking them, but as I've always said, that's sort of the age that most brewers drink them at. So these at 3 months old, are drinking much better. Now, that filler there, which is the one that was done with the warm, it was S189, so Swiss lager yeast, done warm. Now these are 6.2% alcohol. They brewed up fairly strong. Obviously the rice lager on these, the rice malt, I obviously clearly miscalculated how much impact it was going to have on the actual alcohol. Now that warm one was done at ambient temp and sat sort of between 16 and 20 degrees. So it sat in a nice range. Wasn't massive fluctuations. It was a very steady week weather-wise when it got done, and it held that range reasonably well. It's not ideal. You'd rather it be, you know, held within that sort of 1 degree band at best, but that was the best I could do. But it's got a little bit of a fruity edge over the, this one, which was brewed at 11 degrees under temp control, so a proper traditional lager ferment. Yeah, that one, it's just got a little bit of a fruity, sour sort of a note to it. It's not massive, and as I say, if you're a kit brewer, you'd probably, most kit brewers would probably tolerate that without too much trouble. But again, and this is just quickly touching on the lager argument of cold versus warm ferment. It clearly shows to me that the warm ferment does not produce the same quality as lager temperature does. So yeah, it backs up that argument. If you're gonna brew a lager, brew it at lager temps. But that hasn't come up too badly for what was, and realistically, I would thought both those beers were fairly average early on. Now, given 3 months, they're nice. This is what I say: 8 to 9 weeks. I always say 9 weeks is generally the number. From carbonation, 9 weeks. Aging is the good spot for kit beers, and this is bang right on. That's 2 weeks of carbonation, and it would be pretty much spot on 9 weeks almost to the day. So again, really backing up that argument that I throw out there. And also, as I said, if you're looking at that rice lager and wanting to do that, that's come up quite decent. And I would possibly even hesitate to say that if you'd brewed that with an ale, you say a USO 5 BRY 97 and M44, something like that, at 15 or 16 degrees, then you're probably going to get a reasonable finish as well. All good. So middle fella here, the Cooper's Cerveza. Yeah, it's a little bit on the darker side for a Cerveza. But listen, 50 was basically close enough to 50-50 light dry malt and dextrose. And I remember this one drank reasonably well back in its early days when it was younger. I said it's now 11 months old. Bit of citron lemon drop in a very short, well, it's been a steep, like a hop steep. 4.4%. It's light bodied. That's still reasonable. So it's a little hollow, and that would be from the high amount of dex in the brew. But as I said again, that wasn't a bad drop. As I said, for a kit beer, it come up reasonably well. I'm pretty happy with that. If you're after a nice, light, easy drinking summer beer, it's not going to give you too much trouble. That one's certainly worth looking at, the Cooper's Cerveza. I've always said it, the Cooper's Cerveza is one of the best kits going, one of the best standalone kits. It doesn't seem to be affected as much by kit twang and things like that. It seems to be a little bit, I don't know what it is, however that particular brew is made, it's not quite so bad. And I dare say it's because it's not hopped as much, because it's so lightly hopped, there's not as much coming, chance for the hop additions and stuff in the extraction process to cause a problem. So yeah, that's held up alright. Now, I'm going to jump past the Kvike at the moment, so I just want to leave it for a second. Further on the end here, the Isolation IPA. Now this was no brain. Now it's got a little bit of that metallic nose from the overcarbonation. And there's a little bit of tang from the carbonation, but that's still tasty. Even, like I said, 6 months old. There's still some nice fruits. Some mandarin and grapefruit and those deeper citrusy notes. Little touch of dank, but yeah. The carbonation's just sort of breaking it down a little bit. It's a shame because that's but that was a good beer. I know a couple of brewers that have brewed and yeah, I've been happy with it. It was a good drop. It was a good recipe. I'll link up the video for that one, and I'll link up the original tasting video because it had some recommendations in it by memory. I'm pretty sure it did, and then that would link into the actual brew day if you want to go back and have a look at it. Pardon me, I'm so rude. Okay. TDH, the Kvike triple dry hopped. Now, I apologise right now to anybody who, after the 2000 subs video I'm talking about Kvike yeast, went looking for this, because I was describing it as a DDH, as a double dry hop. And certainly will explain why I had trouble finding the video. TDH, triple dry hop. Anyway, I'll link up the brew day. Now it's just a pale ale. It was fairly simple by memory. It was Pilsner malt with just a small percentage, like about 4%, 5% of Voyager Voodoo, something like that. Done here at Ambient. It was only done at around, yeah, sort of mid-ish 20s. It wasn't. It wasn't in the ferment fridge. That wasn't pushed to the higher end of the temperature range. But you can see from all three of these, it's the only beer that's actually held a head. It's been sitting there for a little while now and it's held that. And I described this beer and my previous Kvik, beer as, not particularly liking them. But I had commented on different videos after, like a bit further down the track, that it was developing with flavours that were a bit more, tolerable, more enjoyable. So I think this is the only beer, the last bottle of this that's sort of kicking around. And I just really wanted to see, again, for a beer that's now 11 months old, how it had kicked on. Okay, yeah, boom, there it is. That flavour. I don't like it. Yuck. I mean, people obviously like it. There's that flavour, and it comes through, and it just doesn't work for me. It's not. I see comments all the time. People say, there's fruits, and I don't get it as fruit, or if it is fruit, it's off fruit. That's probably more what it is. It's like when you've had an orange in the fridge for 5 or 6 weeks, and it hasn't gone wrong, but the juices have just started to turn. It's just been there it's just too long. So it still tastes like an orange, but it's not quite. But it's not right. And that's sort of what that's what that underlying flavour is. Yeah, that's what it is. It's overripe citrus. I've not been able to put my finger on it before. Bang, it's just hit me. That's what it is. So don't like it. It's gonna be interesting because I've just opened my beer pack, this month's beer pack, and there's a IPA in there that's been brewed with Kvik. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, at least satisfy myself that I don't like it. I mean, okay, and granted, both have been Jern's Voss, so perhaps different strains are going to provide a different thing. And again, as I said, I haven't brewed it in the high temperatures, so that could have an effect on it. But I can't see how that would do nothing more than just intensify that flavour. And intensifying that flavour is not going to win me over, that's for sure. So anyway, hope you've got something from that. If you were interested in any of these beers when they were originally done, maybe you've got something from watching the further testing on them. As I said, the Cooper Cerveza and the Rice Lager are both drinking quite reasonable. They're not exceptional. I wouldn't even say they're great, but they're good. If like I said, sticking that up to your nose, if you poured someone a glass of that and gave them to them, they would have no idea you've not just poured them a commercial beer. It smells and looks. It looks the business. Smells the business. In all honesty, if you drink it, it tastes the business. So yeah, if you're interested in rice lagers, that's definitely an option to look at. You just need to be patient. But I always say that you need to be patient with your kit beers. You can't rush them. You've got to give them time. Let them age. That's a perfect example. I had 2 cartons of that. The brothers taken them weeks ago and drunk them. And they weren't like this. Had I, if I gave that to him now, his eyes would pop out his fucking head. Because that is 2 or 3 times the beer that he took home, 5 or 6 weeks ago and drank. Patience. Home brewing is about patience. It's one of the most important things. You've got to be able to make your beer and put it aside and let it condition. It's so important. Everyone raves on about getting your yeast right and your water and bloody temperature. But they all want to, everyone wants to forget about the conditioning side. Everyone wants to forget about the end and going, okay, well, this stuff needs to age. You need to give it some time to develop. And that's a perfect example. Even that, the warmer lager, which was rubbish. Rubbish is the only word I can describe for it when it was, 4 weeks old. It's now drinkable. And most people drink that absolutely no problem at all. Wouldn't even think anything bad of it. So there it is. I'm done. I'm out of here. If you've got any comments, any questions, down the bottom as always. If, as I said, you're interested in becoming a patron or looking at the extra benefits that go along with it, hit the link down below. Hit the link down below. It might just be for you. If it's not, doesn't matter. Subscribe, hit the like button, all that sort of things. But anyway, that's me, Little John. I'm done. So until I'm looking at you again. We're brewing beer, we're talking beer, or we're drinking beer. Good brewing.